yet another Laurel's List is here just in time for May the 4th. And May the 4th be with you as we are now taking a trip to Galaxy's Edge, or as it's referred to, Batuu, as you are seeing this in Disneyland and Disney World, two locations I'm sure Laurel has visited both. Laurel, welcome into
Thank you,
Laurel's
Tim.
List yet again.
So excited.
Happy to have you here. Have you been to indeed both Galaxy's Edge?
Yes, we've been to both, yes.
What's the biggest difference between the two?
They're actually really similar. I don't even think there really is a difference. There is one thing I'll mention later on in the list. But
nice. See, unlike John, you don't spoil your list when we start talking about these 5 things.
No comment.
Okay, we'll leave it there. Laurel, I want to start off with number 5 here as we are approaching a big weekend for Star Wars fans. I'm sure a lot of them will be headed to the theme parks to celebrate.
Yes. For number 5 for me is Olas Cantina. And it actually reminds that we were just talking about on the show, you know, when they have the little band play. What is the band leader's name? It is something, the little blue thing, well, whatever.
Sure.
It's called Olas Cantina, and it is a sit-down experience, and they have lots of different animatronics, but they do have also alcoholic and non-alcoholic drinks and a few little subtle snacks, but it is always packed. It's always hard to get a reservation. I feel like it's gotten a little bit easier now since it's been open for a while, but it's really fun to kind of, you know, it's hot in Florida and in California, to go and sit down and you get to hear the little band playing, and the bartenders are usually really nice, and they, you know, they play up the whole thing like your own Batuu and, like, you know, welcoming you here. And there's some really fun drinks. I got a drink out of a porg, so that was fun.
You want to talk about viral places?
Yeah.
This one maybe would even lead the list there in Olas Cantina, and can be found at both locations.
Yes.
So that is important to note. And we are indeed counting down the 5 best features of Galaxy's Edge, what they've gotten right. John, you've talked at length in previous lists about what you would do to even improve Galaxy's Edge that much further. People can catch that on the Meltdown. But Galaxy's Edge is an idea that obviously when Disney bought the film rights and they bought the properties to merchandise all the toys, and they ended up having George Lucas sign over Star Wars to them, they had to be thinking the whole time that park integration was going to be key to expanding Star Wars under their library.
Absolutely. And the cantina is cool, but one of my biggest complaints actually with Galaxy's Edge is there's not a legitimate place to eat within Galaxy's Edge, because you can get like just some snacks to just kind of munch on at the cantina, because it's very much a bar atmosphere as opposed to, that's not to say it's like seedy. I guess it's kind of like you're supposed to look seedy, but you know, it's meant to play up to, it's a bar with some snacks, and that's kind of it, to where I would like to almost see, and I don't know how exactly you do it, because I don't know that we ever see a legitimate sit-down restaurant in all of Star Wars. But like,
there's the diner in episode 2.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Where he goes to visit the guy just to find out the dart. Yeah, like it's. But like even then, I don't know what kind of food they're eating. He sits there and talks to the cook for a second, and
there are like
he moves
frogs
on.
And things like
yeah.
like the creatures
so like,
are.
There's no place to go, because the thing is, you have to wander into kind of the back of the park to get there. Which for expansion, you can't obviously add it right at the front necessarily, but this. You eat a couple little chips, and that's basically it. So I would love to have some place to legitimately eat. This is the best option you have for food and drink, at least in this kind of atmosphere. But hopefully that's something they add in the future.
I've always felt it's not just a Galaxy's Edge problem. It's a Hollywood Studios problem. There's really not a ton of places that are great to eat at Hollywood Studios compared to Epcot, which has an overabundance of too many places.
So that's the problem. There's places like you can find decent
Sci-fi,
food
that's
there.
probably where we probably eat the
Sci-fi
most,
is, an experience to go and do once. It was okay. Like you can go to is it Rizzo's that you can get pizza at? Like there's places to get
Like,
food.
yeah.
Brian Pavlik really likes Pizza Rizzo.
No, he talked about how the food was basically the worst part of the whole experience.
Yeah, he said it was a good atmosphere though.
But the problem is you're comparing it to incredible food at Epcot that no place is going. I mean, Magic Kingdom has plenty of good food, but it's not even going to compare to Epcot.
All right, let's go to number 4 on Laurel's list.
And as you talk about features and experiences, I would say building the lightsaber. There's a variety of things that you can build. I believe you can build your own droid as well, which I've seen some people make some really cool ones, like even modify them once they get home, make them like cool pastel colors. But I think building the lightsaber, and it's it's kind of like an adult version of like a Build-A-Bear almost. Like you go into this whole thing of picking out a rock, and you have to, you're sitting there thinking like, this is kind of stupid, but at the same time, you're on vacation. Like you know
what you were thinking was, this will be number 4 on my list one day. This is going to be top 5.
It's cheesy, but it's fun, and again, like all the cast members, I guess they like to be called at Disney, always go above and beyond, and they are. That's what makes it fun. They are super into this process. Like they are seeing which one you picked. I picked purple because I like Samuel L. Jackson's character.
Mace Windu.
Yeah. I did green.
You got green. And I think red is probably the most popular one because everyone, of course, wants to be a Sith. So that, of course, you have like them cast members who try to act like they're part of that, and it's a fun thing.
But at first they didn't have yellow. I assume they have yellow now.
I think they do.
Because Rey's lightsaber at the end ended up being yellow, so I was like, you got to market that somehow.
But you get to put the stone in, and it's kind of difficult building. You got to pay attention to like put this thing together, and I had to have help, but it's fun.
I have a couple of questions. One is, you guys have done this experience. You've done it once. You probably won't do it again.
Right.
I may, because they have added a lot of like cool hilts and stuff like that. So it may be something down the line to be like, they've added a bunch. I mean, the thing is, you kind of have to do that, or else you're going to not get as many people coming in there.
The quality of the actual lightsaber, is it worth the price of admission alone, the quality of the lightsaber, or could I find this on the shelf at a local retailer?
Could you find it on the shelf at a local retailer? No. Could you find much better ones online? Yes. Will those likely cost more money? Also, yes. The experience is, I want to say, a little under $200 to do, which sounds like that's expensive to buy a lightsaber. I can go down to, I was about to say Toys R Us. You can't do that, but you can go down to the local toy store and find you one for $10, but it's the ones you flick open and they're not as cool. This has a really good blade on it. The hilts, it's heavy. It's really heavy, almost too heavy. I feel like there's no way they could actually be that heavy. And I know in reality, and like, in the movie it's light, so that doesn't weigh much at all, if anything. But the quality is good. I wouldn't fight with them necessarily. Like, it's fun, I think, for like if we were out taking pictures, we can go boom and smack it once, but I wouldn't like constantly with it.
I just paid $200 for this thing. I'm not smacking it on
anything.
anything.
You will see, and knowing how much they make, you will see people because they put it like in a carry-on.
Yeah.
You see everyone in the park walking around with it. And it's a thing that you have to go in and you have to get on a waiting list and then you get called in. Again, it's a really fun experience. Like, that's part of it.
Tyler, your lightsaber, what color would it be? And I'm not even saying what's offered here. I'm saying any color you want.
I'd probably go purple, Mace Windu.
Okay.
Tyler's with me.
Well, I got to ask John, because I wouldn't mind paying $200 for a good quality lightsaber you can display.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you get that and a good experience with this, and it's sort of the best bang for your buck if you want to display lightsaber?
It's the best bang for your buck. So I feel like at first, and I don't quote me on this, but I feel like at first they didn't necessarily say, here is Anakin's original lightsaber, here's Kylo's lightsaber, here's Darth Vader's light. Like, it wasn't like that. It was, there's like 4 classifications of Jedi that you can choose from. That this one, I don't remember off the top of my head, but it's like this one's a commander, a Jedi commander, that they would use this type of hilt. And you can add pieces to make it custom for your own, but you're kind of picking within a group of pieces. And then there's one that's more like kind of Sith style that you're picking from a group. It wasn't like, do you want Mace Windu's lightsaber? Now, you could say I want purple because I like Mace Windu, or I can say I want red because I want to be like Darth Vader. But it wasn't that. I do think since then they've tried to make it a little more customizable, that you can be like, I do want one that's kind of close to X person within the movies. Right. But I would say overall, just to have, you can clearly tell, whoa, that's a cool lightsaber. It's worth to go through the experience one time.
That you can go through and pick, and like one is very similar to like the one that Kylo Ren has. That's probably the most popular one I see people get. Yeah. It has like the double. Yeah.
With such a diverse range of fans that are coming into the park, maybe they just want to experience it because they were going to go to Disney anyway, and they happen to be in there, and they're like, "Oh, I know Darth Vader. That's the kind of lightsaber I want." Compared to those that take it really seriously, know all the characters, know the lore, know the backstories.
Well, and that's the thing, is there's going to be people there at the experience. If you're like, "I want Darth Vader," and they're like, "Ooh, Lord Vader, you want a lightsaber like that?"
Yeah.
It's like super role play for the people there, and the whole like story they teach you as to how you build your lightsaber. It's like you're actually a Jedi building your first lightsaber and all that.
It's similar to when you pick out a wand at like Harry Potter, like except at Universal they only choose one person. Here,
Everybody gets to be
Everyone
part
gets
of the
to do
experience.
it.
Yeah.
So like you get to see the one person get chosen to pick out a wand, and like the wand chooses you. Here,
And the rest of you just go in the
everyone-
store and buy one.
Yeah, here everyone's involved.
I mean, that's exactly how it is.
A better,
It's like 10 people in the
better
room. You wait in
experience.
line for it, and it's like, ooh, Laurel, you're going to get a chance. And then they go through the whole thing. Maybe this one, no, this isn't calling to you. And they do the whole experience like they do in the movie. It's like, for the rest of you can find a wand in our store, and you just go in there and
like,
buy
so
one.
didn't call to me.
At least
Okay.
everybody's, and now it's like 20 people at a time, like in a circle. But it is cool. Like you stick your hilt like in this thing, and then you open it for the first time, and the blade shoots out for the first time, and it's a cool experience and everything. It's worth doing. But it is like, if you're like, I want one like Darth Vader, like a kid goes in there and says that, and like, ooh, Lord Vader, that's, evil, but we're going to help you try to find one close to that anyway.
You do
And
sound like a Spaceballs character when you start reenacting. Ooh, Lord Vader. Let's go to number 3 on Laurel's list. So far, very strong conversation. The force is strong with this one, Laurel. Number 3, where are we headed?
Okay, number 3. This is something that actually is better in California, and it is a food item or a drink item. And this is extremely popular. It is kind of a viral thing too, but they have I don't know the exact term, but everyone just calls it space coffee. And it is coffee. It's over at they have different names for these, but it's over at like an outpost. And it's coffee that has Cocoa Puffs. Of course, Cocoa Puffs don't exist in Star Wars, so it's just like, space dust on the top.
Space Puffs.
But you have to ask, if you're going to the one in Florida, ask for extra cream, because it's got like this like cream on the top, because the coffee is just like black coffee. So it doesn't taste great. But if you have the extra cream and then with the Cocoa Puffs on top, it's really good. Much better in California, but it's good in Florida.
it's officially called a cold brew black calf.
Yes.
So it's coffee. But it says, the official description off the menu here says, Joffrey's coffee cold brew topped with sweet cream cheese and chocolate puffs.
Yes.
And then you can get a spiked one that has alcohol in it.
Which I see a lot of parents getting this.
Cheese.
Speaking of drinks at Galaxy's
cheese.
Edge, here at the Next Round and Disrupt Media, our offices, The Meltdown, Uncorked, etc., we are a Coke pour, and proudly a Coke pour. Galaxy's Edge obviously has the themed Cokes and the Sprites.
People love those.
I don't know if that ends up being in the part of your top 2.
That could tie in with. I mean, the blue milk is good too. I don't really like the other one. What's the other one they have?
It's like a green milk.
Like a
That's
green.
not
I don't.
very good.
The blue one's good. The green one's. But the drinks at Galaxy's Edge, which goes into the cantina as well. But everyone loves to get the Star Wars. It's like in a little ball.
It's like a little
very.
ball.
And
I
you
think
can't take
they
them on the
should-
plane though, so be wary of that.
Ooh, I may have broken some laws there. Let's go
Okay.
with number 2 on Laurel's list.
Number 2 is the characters, but more because you will see them roaming around, and especially since I feel like the new movies, the Force Awakens, those moving forward with those really kind of mainstreamed Star Wars to like just a general audience. So they might not necessarily know, this character, but they're like, oh, I know Oscar Isaac, or I know, Adam Driver. But people love, and they will flock. People love Darth Vader and Kylo Ren. They like them. People flock to the Mandalorian. When he comes out, he has a baby. Well, I guess Grogu is his name, technically. But he has it in his pouch, and it moves as well. And when you're rounding the corner, you will see a long line. It is for people to go up and to interact with the Mandalorian. I've been there many times when I see women freaking out, and I want to be like, you do know Pedro Pascal is not under the suit.
He's not even hardly under the suit in the show.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, I'm so nervous. Oh my gosh. I'm like, you do know, like, it's just like probably a teenager or something that's in there. Like, it's not Pedro. But if you want to think it's Pedro, you can. But that is a really fun.
I think you're selling Halloween costumes right now to a lot of men that are watching this going, all I got to do is dress up and completely cover myself from head to toe.
I'm in.
I would say Kylo Ren and the Mandalorian are the top 2 that I see, like, women, and you'll see it on TikTok, and it's kind of weird that it's like, oh, this is kind of strange how you're acting with this character.
Or as Ryan Brown calls them, Darth Vader and RoboCop. That's what he would call them. He would not know the difference between Kylo Ren and the Mandalorian.
But the characters really get into it. Like the very first time we went, what was that character that came up to us? And they're very, it was like that. It was from like one of the cartoons.
There's like an original character they had.
Oh, is it from that?
That in the commercials leading up to it, they started like an advertising campaign when it was open in LA and about to open up in Orlando. That there was some character they created for it, and she's like a pilot of some sort, And
We had a full blown conversation.
we had like
with
a
her.
full blown conversation with her, and it was the same kind of thing. Like, oh, welcome to Batu.
And
You know,
They're like,
It's
she was like, "Are you a Sith Lord?" And
Yeah.
I was like, "Which was the bad one?"
are you a
And,
Sith or a Jedi? It's like I'm John. I don't know what to say.
I get nervous just ordering food off the menus at those places, like not knowing how to pronounce them.
I'll tell you, Tim. I just looked up the Coke bottles y'all were talking about. I'd be nervous bringing that onto the plane.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I don't think it's
That's
allowed.
Wow.
become a thing. Yeah.
I brought it back. I don't know if I was supposed to, but
If it was-
I-
it
You
was
risked
empty,
life
you're
and
okay.
limb
it was
doing
empty.
that,
It was
Tim.
empty. It was empty. I drank the Coke, but I was nervous.
I don't
Okay,
think it would matter.
Tyler here with your flight instructions here.
I've never been, so I just saw that for the first time. That's wild.
Tyler, am I convincing you to take a trip to Galaxy's Edge though?
You are.
Okay,
It
good.
sounds nice.
Okay, good.
Okay, so here's what I have noticed so far, Laurel. We have no mention so far of any rides. I don't know if that's going to change for the number one slot, but I am eagerly anticipating to see what direction you go here with the best feature, in your opinion, so far at Galaxy's Edge at the time of this recording, which would be May 2024.
I put number 1, Rise of the Resistance.
Okay.
It is so much fun. It is probably the best ride, I think. I think that the roller coaster at Epcot, what's it called?
Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind.
I think it's really fun, but I think Rise of the Resistance, when the Spider-Man ride came out at Universal years ago, everyone like flipped over that. And that was like, up here as far as technology goes. This one takes it a million steps forward. I think it's the best ride in the park. I think it's fun. I think everyone loves the characters because you have all the new characters, and it's like you get the ride, but then you have all the different pre-shows. So it's like
the queue is by far the best queue.
yes, and you get to see BB-8, you get to see Rey, you get to see Finn and Poe, and everyone. And I also love the cast members there because they get on to John all the time because
do.
John loves to lean on the rails, and they specifically say, "Please do not lean on the rails," and they will come over and they will interrogate John.
The whole premise is you're like on a transport, on a transport from the good guys, from the rebels, and then they capture you. The First Order captures the transport basically, and you're all prisoners. And so they like line you up to go onto the actual ride as prisoners, and you're going into a prison cell, and that's where then the ride basically starts. And so they like yell at you, they're like mean to you. I mean, they're not gonna be like super like mean, like cussing and stuff, but they're gonna be like forceful enough to let you kind of enjoy the experience. And every time they're like, okay, go stand on the blue dot. So I'll stand on the blue dot, and I'll lean back against the wall, and they're like, "Did I tell you can lean?" And I'm like, "No." "Well, stand up, get up." It's like, I didn't tell you could do that. Who has told you? What? We're having a prisoner acting up over here, and I'm just like,
I think
I'm sorry. I've been walking around the park all day. I'm tired. I leaned on the freaking wall. I'm sorry.
One of the best experiences is I have a backpack, and it has this was like back, like this was during COVID when like there were not a lot of people at the parks, and we went through, and I had a backpack, and it had the child, as it was known then, on the employee.
We've gone over every single name of Baby Yoda so far.
Well, the
I
cast
love
members.
that. The history of Baby
The
Yoda.
minute they started selling stuff, it was just the child. It
Right.
wasn't Grogu yet.
Right.
And so Laurel had a backpack that had him on
And the
there.
cast members were going, "Do you see what I see?" And they were whispering, like, "She has the child." And they were looking at me, they're like, "Excuse me." They're like, "Do you know that you have the child on your back?" They're like, "How much were you willing to pay?" It's like, okay. It does make you nervous though. It's a lot, but it's fun.
And they do yell at me a lot.
Yes.
Just make sure you buy your lightsaber before you go on this so you have a weapon to fight with. That's the key.
Yes.
Tyler will be there with his grenade Coke bottle in hand, ready to go. and fight. Well, this has been a lot of fun. I love Rise of the Resistance. Has the hype finally died down on it enough to where you can actually just walk up and get in the queue, or do you
Yeah,
still
it-
have to kind of
No, I mean, you can just hop in the queue. It's,
We went a long way.
I want to say when we've done it, I mean, it's been an hour and a half, 2 hours or so to do it. You can do the lightning lane thing if you want to, but
probably worth it for that one?
yeah, the virtual queue disappeared with that once Cosmic Rewind
Right.
opened up, and you can basically do it. If you want to wait, you can just wait in line.
There we have it. Rise of the Resistance. I like when the ride does not break down. It does that a lot. It's a very technical ride.
There's
And I don't,
magnets that are doing most of it.
I don't say that as a slam on it. I just, like, we had done the wait thing. We got there. We rope dropped it, and we went through, and I love the ride. But we get in the cart, and then it decides it wants to break down. The minute we get in the cart, I'm like, oh, my gosh, we've done everything we've had to do. We woke up. We got on the bus. We got to the park. We got to the ride. We go through the line. We get on the cart, and then it breaks down.
Yep.
But then it got back together, and I was able to ride it one time. And
Welcome
that was
to Disney
excellent.
World.
Whew, that was fun. Laurel, thank you so much for sharing your list with us. John, we appreciate you contributing a lot of commentary here to these experiences. And Tyler, this just tells me we need to take a Meltdown road trip.
Exactly.
I'm going to recommend Orlando.
I haven't been to Disney World since they got Marvel and Star Wars and everything else in the parks. So I actually do need to go to Disney World.
Sounds like you need to make that part of an upcoming trip here with us. Maybe we can make that happen. Can we get Reed to sign something and send us that way?
Yeah.
Laurel, appreciate it as always. For all of the Laurel's lists that have happened, make sure you check them out right here on the channel, The Meltdown. If you have not subscribed, we'd love to have your support. We're on a race to 2,000 subscribers by the end of the summer, hoping to continue to build with your support. John, it's all in thanks to our title sponsor, and that is MyBookie.
Go to mybookie.ag, use promo code next round, and see it right there. Promo code next round, all one word. Get that first deposit bonus on us. You can bet on the hockey playoffs, basketball playoffs. You can bet on Major League Baseball. You can even bet on some entertainment props as well. Maybe we'll get a new Star Wars movie sometime soon, and you can bet on something with that. Go to mybookie.ag, bet anything, anytime, anywhere. Promo code next round.
We'll see you live on The Meltdown daily, 2 o'clock Central, 3 o'clock Eastern.